And this is the situation that we face in this world. People who are infinite consciousness operating at the level of body consciousness. And that's exactly where the manipulators want us. Because if we are not connecting out there and getting our insight, inspiration, intuitive knowing from out there, then where do we look to get a fix on who we are and what's happening in the world? We look that way, through the ears and the eyes. And who's controlling that information? Those that control the media, education, etc. Gotcha. The body, I call it a genetic spacesuit. And it's kind of funny, you know, if you were on the moon with someone and an astronaut started thinking he was his spacesuit, I mean, crikey, can you imagine? Hey, Houston, we got a problem. Bill thinks he's his spacesuit. He's bloody mad because he's not his spacesuit. Yeah, but we think we're our spacesuit. And what would there be in that situation on the moon? There would be chaos. Well, that's why there's chaos here, because we believe we're our spacesuit. That's what makes racism so insane. It's like saying, oh, I'm better than you because my spacesuit's different color. Bloody ridiculous. But the cutting edge of human knowledge, so why should I complain? We are consciousness working through the body. Now, I got a real amazing feeling for this. About 2 years ago, just before I last spoke here, when my mother died, Barbara, and I went along to the funeral, obviously, and my brother had organized it, and he said to me, do you want to come and see your mum while in the mortuary or at the funeral parlor? And my immediate reaction was, no, I remember as she was, because it's just a body anyway. But something said, no, go. And for some reason in my life, I've never come across, the first time I've seen a dead body was my mother. And I turn up, and I walk in this room, and there's this body in this coffin, this open coffin. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but it was dead. There was no bloody life there whatsoever. Dead, unbelievably dead, took me aback dead. And next to it was this picture, which my brother had blown up, which was going to go and be used in the funeral, which it was. And there was my mother's absolutely dead body, and there was this picture of my mother absolutely full of life, full of energy, full of sparkle. And I stood there, and I could see in those two images what life is, what consciousness is, because that was alive, that was dead. We are consciousness, and we've got confused. And in identifying who we are with the body, we've seriously buggered up our sense of perception and therefore our ability to be free. The energy that or the reality that we are experiencing, that we apparently see with our eyes, is just a frequency range. That's all it is, and it is minute. What we call visible light. According to current mainstream science, the electromagnetic spectrum is 0.005% of the energy known to exist in the universe. 0.005%. And visible light, which is the only frequency that our eyes can decode into this reality, is a fraction of the 0.005%. We are basically visually blind in terms of what exists in the same space that we're experiencing. It's just a television, holographic television station we're experiencing. Tiny frequency range, visible light that we are experiencing. And what we are is, at this level, receiver transmitters of information. And the range of frequencies that we are accessing decides the range and perception and awareness of reality that we experience. So the more you can close down the range of frequencies that we are accessing, the more you close down the perception and the sense of infinity of the people you are targeting. The body is a biological computer. Biological in the sense that, unlike a desktop computer, it has the ability to an extent to think for itself and work things out for itself. That's what we call evolution on a physical level. The computer is constantly receiving information, vibrational information from its environment, and it is reacting to that. It does it all the time. If we go into a place where it's cold, it will react to that. Where it's hot, it will react to that. And it's the same with things like animals, that over a period of time, their environment changes. That information is being received by the computer and analyzed by the computer, and it's making changes. And if those environmental changes, habitat changes, happen slow enough, that is why you see animal bodies evolve to fit the new environment. But if it happens really quick, we call it extinction because it can't change fast enough. It's a computer working. And we are receiving vibrational information which we're decoding into this reality. Get into that more shortly. We are interacting with this infinite consciousness, but how much of that consciousness are we reacting to with? That depends on the range of frequencies we're accessing. And we're a bit like a dodgem car in a fairground. You know, you got the dodgem car, it's going round, it's doing everything, lots of energy, and then once the power is switched off, it's, hey, my car's gone dead. Yes, because its energy source is gone, and that's what we call death. Not death at all. It's the movement of consciousness out of this reality. That's all. What we call near-death experiences have enormous amounts of common stories about what they experienced when they left the body and then were returned when their body was revived. Stories that support massively what I'm saying here today about the fact that we are consciousness and the body's just a vehicle. They talk about going through the tunnel into another reality and how limitation disappears, how the emotional intensity disappears, because a lot of that emotional intensity, if not all of it, is body consciousness. This is what one near-death experiencer said about what he experienced when he left the body. Everything from the beginning, my birth, my ancestors, my children, my wife, everything comes together simultaneously. I saw everything about me and about everyone who was around me. I saw everything they were thinking now, what they thought then, what was happening before, what was happening now. There is no time, there is no sequence of events, no such thing as limitation, of distance, of period, of time, of place. I could be anywhere I wanted to be simultaneously. That is who we are, and we need to remember it so we can sort this place out. What do you mean there's no time? That's stupid. Oh, right. So, manufactured time is on my wrist. If I cross a certain invisible point in the world, I enter yesterday or tomorrow. Ridiculous. It's a decoding illusion, time and sequence. As William Blake said, to see a world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Everything is everything else happening at the same time. It's a decoding process. If you are watching a movie on a DVD on the telly, where you are in the movie, you think is the present. The scenes in the movie you just left or watched is your past, and the scenes you've not seen yet are your future. But all of them still exist in the same moment that you're experiencing what you perceive to be the present. And if you run back, bingo, you're in the past. You run forward, you're in the future. No, you're in the same now. As H.M. Tomlinson said, we see things not as they are, but as we are, because as we are decides how we decode reality. And this conspiracy might play out as banking scams and political scams. Yes, it does, and we should know that. But this conspiracy is about manipulating our sense of who we are so we decode what they want us to experience. And what that perception is one of division, apartness, because that creates the fault lines through which they can divide and rule us when we are oneness, all connected at different points of perception and observation within that whole, therefore expressing glorious diversity, but still connected. And that's the point, you know. I understand it. When you're talking about oneness, people think that it's like everyone therefore becomes one clone blob, like this. I'm oneness, and also am I, oh yeah. What is oneness? What is this oneness I'm talking about? It is all possibility. That's what it is. It is everything that has, is, or ever will be there to be experienced. So there is no contradiction between being in a point of awareness of the connectedness of everything and at the same time celebrating and expressing your glorious diversity and uniqueness of perception. Indeed, the uniqueness of our expressing of our lives is honoring, if you like, the oneness that is all, because it's all possibility. What you get, ironically, when you disconnect from that into that, is you get a situation where you do get people who are, you know, I'm not oneness, neither am I, I'm not oneness. You do get uniformity, because people start operating on the same tiny range of frequencies, and therefore they start acting and seeing the world the same. Everyone thinks the same, everyone's tuning to the same bloody station. That's why we think when we experience the world, and understandably it seems like that, and the way we decode it, that the world is out there, that the summit's out there. In fact, it's just a projection. It's all going on in our minds, in our heads, as we decode reality. As the great Bill Hicks, the American comedian, said, what a great man he was, great man. All matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration. We're all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There's no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves. And that's the foundation of the conspiracy, manipulating our imagination of ourselves. Infinite love is the only truth. The existence of an infinite consciousness is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. Everything else is the imagination of that consciousness made manifest and experienced. This is who we are. This is what we think we are. We think we're the body that we see in the mirror. Humans are a software program. It's like playing on the computer a certain piece of software. We call it genetic inheritance and all that stuff. And from that we get what we call personality. We get all the other genetic traits, and we think they're who we are. It's a software program. Cultures, different cultures, they're software programs. Nothing wrong with them. Love them, experience them. Illusions only control you when you think they're real. When you know they're illusions, play with them, have a laugh. But they're software programs. We're not human. That's our experience. It's not who we are. Even my body's the same. Even mine. Lost a bit of weight, you know. Been off the booze for 3 months, that's why. This is an article in the San Francisco Chronicle. DNA is a universal software code. From bacteria to humans, the basic instructions for life are written with the same language. Even the cutting edge of mainstream science is now beginning to turn its mind to the fact that this is a computer, and this may well be a illusory, almost computer game. If you look at the codes that make up DNA, A, C, G, and T, or in my case, G and T, G and T, G and T. Oh, no, I've given up. I gave it up 3 months ago, sorry. These 4 codes, depending on where they are in relationship to each other, decide so many things. They decide if your body's a mouse or if it's a human. And the difference in the coding compared with the difference in how it expresses itself in the different physical form is minimal. And if you look at those codes in the Matrix movies, very, very similar, because the principle of that movie is correct. On one level, we are a digital, energetic construct operating beyond human sight. And the reason now they're talking about what they call human-computer interface, where they can get the computer to be worked by the brain without any movement of the hands, is very, very simple. They're connecting 2 computers. One immensely, staggeringly more advanced than the other, but still the basically same principle. What they don't tell us is that's how it is. When you look at the human body from a point of view of a computer, it ticks almost every box. Well, it does tick every box I've come across so far. When the computer has a virus and it gets out of control and eventually it won't switch on, what do we say? My computer's dead. Why? Because it cannot connect to its energy source. What do we say when people die? We say the body's dead, the computer's dead, the energy source has left, that's why. We talk about putting computers into sleep mode where they just tick over and slow down and shut down to a very large extent. So do we. Then we've got Norton antivirus and all these other antivirus technologies. And what do? They are programmed to attack viruses and threats to the body, to the PC computer, desktop computer's functional system. We've got a Norton antivirus, we call it the human immune system. Does the same basic principle, because it's a computer. This is a picture, an enhanced version of a picture taken at the Necker Hospital in a research process in Paris. And this is a motherboard. That is the motherboard of the body computer. And that's the system, the meridian system, the circuit board, that acupuncture and other alternative forms of healing work on. Why? Because this chi energy, as the Chinese call it, going around the body and these lines is information passing around the computer, just like information passes around the desktop computer. And they found in their experiments that when this energy is moving too slowly compared to optimum, the body starts to show signs of dis-ease and disharmony. Why? Because the information going around the body and being processed is being processed too slowly for optimum health. What do we say when we've got a virus in our computer on the desk? My computer's bloody slow today. Same thing. And the acupuncture needles and other forms of Chinese acupuncture healing are there to reharmonize the flow of this energy so the information's passing around to optimum and we become well again. Then you've got the brain. The so-called brain of the computer, as they call it, is the central processing unit, the CPU. The brain of the body is the CPU of the body computer. It's the main processor of information, receiving and sending out. And it's decoding information all the time, and therefore creating our reality. The DNA and the genetic structure is like the hard drive. And the hard drive is passed on through what we call procreation, which is like, on a computer level, 2 hard drives fusing to create another hard drive, which is a combination of the two. And together, The genetic structure and the auric field make up body consciousness, which has an awareness